Pay close attention because what I'm going to share will shatter every cozy crutch you've ever relied on. The majority of men are hooked on comfort, hooked on clutter, hooked on the warm little diversions that keep them numb while their existence quietly decays. They pursue pleasure and label it living, but pleasure is a chain, and the world holds the other end. I'm here to offer you a different kind of addiction, one that constructs instead of covers up. Develop an addiction to self-discipline. Become hooked on the man you have the potential to become. Because the instant discipline no longer feels like punishment but starts to feel like hunger, you become a threat in the most positive sense. Invulnerable. Observe your surroundings. The undisciplined are everywhere, and they are constantly at the mercy of someone stronger, sharper, and more calculating. They drift along, they react, they plead with the world for approval. You will not do that. You will train your mind until silence feels like strength. You will shape your body until your presence communicates before your lips move. You will design your habits until your future is certain, not merely promising. This is not about motivation. Motivation is a flickering flame in the wind. This is structural engineering. This is a conflict fought inside your own head. Every single day, silently, alone, and here's the reality. Nobody whispers it to you. The toughest men aren't born merciless. They first become merciless with themselves. They require more, pardon less, and submit to no weakness, especially their own. So before we go further, plant your flag in the comments and write these words. I am forging a self that no one can break. Utter it, mean it, and let it be the foundation stone. Because the man who controls himself fears nobody and answers to nobody. That change begins at this moment. Number 2, eliminate the comfortable version of you. There is a version of you that must die, the weak one, the one who hits snooze and calls it rest, the one who scrolls for hours and calls it relaxation, the one who vows to begin tomorrow, then another tomorrow, then never. That version of you is not your ally, it's the enemy wearing your face. And every day you allow him to survive, he robs the man you were destined to become. Grasp this without emotion. Comfort is the most costly thing you will ever purchase. It drains your potential, paid in quiet installments. You never realize it until it's too late. The world rewards the sharp and ignores the comfortable. So you must become the executioner of your own weaknesses, not just once daily, but mercilessly, without ritual. Most men bargain with themselves. Just 5 more minutes, just this once. But that bargaining is where greatness dies. Strong men do not negotiate with the side of them that wants to surrender. They overrule it. They act before the mind invents an excuse because they know the mind is a coward. It will always pick the easy path if you allow it to vote. Discipline means not allowing your most vulnerable side to dictate your choices. Visualize it vividly each time you opt for the challenging path. The cold bath, the early wake-up, the exercise you'd rather skip the quiet. You are eliminating the version of yourself that craves ease and nurturing the strong one rather than giving in to diversions. There are 2 wolves within you, and only one gets nourished. Make a conscious decision today. Act as if your entire future hinges on it because it truly does. What they never caution you about is this. Initially, it will seem like a bereavement. You'll grieve the comfort and long for past habits. That pain confirms the change is genuine. Suffering is the price you must pay, and now you're ready to cover it. Those who command respect from the world are merely individuals who ceased dodging their own self-control. They became allies with hardship while others fled. Make your choice now. Do you sustain the comfortable dead version of yourself, or do you enter him and stride ahead as a new person? Write in the comments, I am forging an unbreakable self. Write it once more. Allow the world to see where you draw your boundary. Third principle, gain control over your mind before mastering anything else. Every creation you'll ever make starts from a single source, the mind dominated. Subsequently, the body, habits, and future all align. If you lose command over it, you become a prisoner disguised as a free person, yanked by every anxiety, impulse, and transient emotion. Therefore, the true battle occurs here. Within the 15 centimeters between your ears, in the quiet that remains invisible to others. The majority never triumph because they never even participate. They allow their ideas to rampage disorderly. Then question why existence seems chaotic. Start with this harsh reality. Your mind does not rule you. Your mind is a tool. Yet, currently for many individuals, it performs any tune the world requests. Rage when irritated, terror when tested, longing when lured you respond like a marionette, and worse, you label that as your true identity. However, a person with self-discipline halts that impulse. He senses the attraction but doesn't yield, recognizes the irritation and opts for calm, experiences dread yet continues acting. This is the stark authority that the ancients grasped. He who controls his internal realm cannot be controlled by external forces. Hone your concentration as a tool in a universe designed to fragment your focus into countless shards. The capacity for profound contemplation, focusing on one activity, and remaining undisturbed by clamor, this is more uncommon than gold and doubly potent. As the crowd gets lost in diversions, you'll be the individual who perceives clearly, strategizes discreetly, and acts accurately. Protect your intellect like a stronghold, and be uncompromising regarding what you admit. Each video, each tone, each dialogue is either honing you or weakening you. There's no middle ground. Historical figures were fixated on their influences because they knew the mind morphs into what it ingests. Nourish it with power, and it develops bite. Supply it with waste, and it becomes feeble. Also, master emotional stillness, not lacking feelings, but declining to be governed by them. Allow others to observe you and discover emptiness. Keep your expression composed while your mind analyses. A person who discloses all gives adversaries a blueprint. An individual who discloses nothing stays enigmatic. An enigma provides advantage. Humans dread what they can't foresee and honor what they can't dominate. Start this very day. Observe your thoughts as a monarch observes his frontiers. First, impose discipline on your internal realm. Then the external realm will inevitably comply. In the comment section, reaffirm, I am constructing a self that is unbreakable. Point number 4, shape your body into an instrument of power. Now let's focus on the temple, the body. The body cannot be feigned, while words can deceive. You may conceal yourself behind a device, but your physique reveals the reality of a person even before he speaks. It declares your self-discipline or exposes your carelessness, and it indicates whether you have been struggling or giving up. In a society that assesses within moments, your bodily appearance is your initial statement. Therefore, ensure it is irrefutable. Grasp this truth. The body is not about vanity. It serves as evidence. Evidence that you can establish a challenging objective and tirelessly pursue it even when there is no applause. Evidence that you can willingly endure hardship and rebound more robust with each repetition. Every kilometer, every rejected justification is a contribution to a visible account that others notice. When you enter a space with a sculpted physique, you have already communicated that you exercise self-control, and individuals naturally hold respect and silently feel intimidated by a person who exercises authority over his own body. Those who are weak pursue ease. Those who are strong pursue opposition because they understand that opposition is the sole element that forges. The majority of men handle their bodies as if they were rubbish bins and then question why they experience sluggishness. Feeling clouded and feeble, they intoxicate themselves with sugar, submerge themselves in alcohol, and deprive themselves of physical activity. Subsequently, they accuse their genetics, their age, or their fortune. Cease this. Your physique is the vessel that conveys every aspiration you will ever possess. Damage it and you damage all aspects. Your vitality, your concentration, your self-assurance, your determination. Nourish it as you would an investment, not as a dependency, and exercise it as though it is the cornerstone of your dominion. Since it truly is, there exists a profound strength within, one that warriors of old understood. When you exert your body intensely, you simultaneously condition your mind to persevere. This self-control permeates the individual who can power through the ultimate grueling series of repetitions. As his muscles cry out for relief, he is forging the identical mental fortitude that he will employ in all other domains of his existence. Discomfort in the training hall transforms into tolerance during discussions. Fatigue overcome at sunrise becomes calmness amidst stress at midday. The physique is merely the practice field where you instruct your determination to triumph. And there is a certain thing that society prefers to keep from you. Bodily power alters your posture, and your posture modifies the way others respond to you. Adopt a more upward stance, and individuals address you in a changed manner. Exhibit measured strength in your movements, and individuals think twice before challenging you. You cease to diminish yourself and stop apologizing for occupying room. You evolve into a person who is at ease with observation because you possess no concealment and no apprehension. Self-assurance ceases to be a performance and becomes a byproduct of your efforts. Therefore, forge an agreement with yourself starting now. Take care of your physique. As the most significant endeavor you will ever embark upon, rise before the week starts and train even when you lack motivation. Particularly when you lack motivation, consume food for strength, rest for recuperation. And from now on, never disparage the apparatus that transports your spirit throughout this existence. Mold it gradually, unyieldingly, into a creation that demands admiration. Silently, forging the physique provides the foundation upon which all else rests. Confirm it again in the remarks. I'm constructing an unbreakable self. Number 5. Design your routines. Design your destiny. The key that distinguishes those who ascend from those who only fantasize is this: greatness isn't achieved in spectacular instances. Greatness emerges from unseen moments, from tiny, mundane, repetitive deeds that receive no recognition or applause. Motivation deceives. It arrives noisily, pledges commitment, then disappears when difficulty arises. However, routines require no motivation. They operate in obscurity. They function during fatigue, lack of inspiration, and solitude, which is precisely why they are the genuine builders of all empires ever constructed. Grasp the underlying mechanisms with detachment. Your identity is defined by your consistent actions, not occasional ones. A person who reads a single book fades from memory. The one who reads daily becomes a powerful influence. A physique chiseled in a single training session is imaginary. The body honed through countless low-key practices is reality. Greatness isn't a one-time occurrence. It's a gradual buildup. This is compounded interest earned through self-control, and it is ruthlessly equitable. It offers nothing to the erratic. Yet it bestows everything upon the persistent, so cease awaiting preparedness. Preparedness is an emotion, and emotions are like weather. They shift with the breeze. Construct structures instead. Organize your daily schedule so that resilience becomes routine and frailty becomes challenging. The self-controlled individual does not depend on momentary willpower. Aware that willpower is a finite resource that depletes, he reshapes his surroundings so that the correct choice is the effortless one. He eliminates the allure before it can even hint. He readies everything the prior evening so that the morning lacks any justification. He turns achievement into the easiest route. This embodies the unemotional brilliance of routine crafting. You conquer the conflict before the engagement starts. Examine your present existence carefully, because your current reality is merely the tangible total of your repeated behaviors. All outcomes you possess are the accurate record of your consistent actions. If you disapprove of the record, you need to alter your expenditures. No alternative exists. You cannot conceive yourself into a transformed life while still engaging in the former one. One must repeatedly take different actions until the fresh conduct becomes the new persona. And that is the most profound insight. Habits are more than mere activities. They are endorsements for the type of individual you are evolving into. Every self-controlled decision is a vote placed for your upcoming version. Avoid the training session and you endorse frailty. Complete it and you endorse power. Conquer your early hours and you support order. Squander them and you support disorder. Eventually, the votes are tallied, and the individual with the most disciplined choices earns an existence that the lazy can only envy. Begin modestly, but with reverence. Pick one routine and protect it like a sacred vow. Then another, stacking them gradually like bricks until your days form an impenetrable fortress of routine that no bad mood can break. The undisciplined simply drift through life, reacting to whatever appears before them. You will move through life on tracks you installed yourself, heading toward a destination you deliberately selected. And one day you'll look up and realize you've become someone you once could only admire from afar, not through luck. Not through a sudden change, but through the quiet, relentless repetition of doing what had to be done. That is how destiny is engineered not among the stars, but in the schedule. Not in the dream, but in the discipline. In the comments, reaffirm it once more. I am building a self that they cannot break. Step 6. Become illegible. Become invulnerable. Now we descend into colder territory, the psychology of power that most men are too soft to examine. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to teach will change how you navigate every room for the rest of your life. The world is not a fair arena where the kindest person wins. It is a chessboard, and most people are pawns who never realize the game is even being played. They reveal everything: their fears, their plans, their wounds, their desires, and then they wonder why they are so easily used, so easily manipulated, so easily discarded. You will not be a pawn, you will become unreadable, and the unreadable person is untouchable. Begin with the discipline of silence. Most men talk far too much. They spill their ambitions to people who will only envy them. They announce their next move before making it, giving rivals time to prepare. They confess their insecurities to anyone who will listen, then act surprised when those weaknesses are used against them. Instead, let your actions speak and keep your mouth shut. The person who says little but does much becomes a mystery, and mystery is a form of armor. People cannot exploit what they cannot see. They cannot predict someone who reveals nothing, and what cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. Master your reactions, because your reactions are the doors through which others enter and manipulate you. When someone insults you and you explode, you have just handed them the keys to your emotions. Now they know exactly which button to press whenever they want to move you. But when you receive the insult with cold, unbothered calm, you rob them of their power entirely. They learn there is no handle on you, no lever to pull, no crack to slip a knife into. The composed person terrifies the manipulative one because manipulation requires emotional leverage, and you have given them none. Let your stillness be your statement. Understand the deep law of human nature. People respect what they cannot easily access. A person who is always available, who answers every message instantly, who bends to every request. He who seeks everyone's approval is valued cheaply because cheap things are abundant. But the person who guards his time, energy, and presence becomes scarce, and scarcity creates value. Do not chase. Do not beg for attention or approval. Withdraw slightly and watch how the world leans in to find you. This is not coldness for its own sake. It is the simple economics of respect. Cultivate an air of calm, self-possession, so complete that others begin to wonder what you know that they don't. Walk slower. Speak lower. Pause before you respond, as if every word is being weighed, and most are found unworthy of your breath. Let others fill the silence with their nervous chatter while you observe, calculate, and reveal nothing. Amidst all the clamor, the reserved individual appears to have a profundity that the boisterous cannot grasp. And humans are attracted to profundity as insects are drawn to light. They fail to comprehend, and that's the genius move. Observe those around you while staying an enigma. The majority are so preoccupied with being noticed that they never develop the skill of observing. Instead, you will observe. You'll detect what causes a man to recoil, what lights up his eyes, what he shuns, what he desires. You will interpret the environment while it cannot interpret you. This imbalance of knowledge is authority. At its most fundamental, you will know them entirely while they know nothing about you. Data moves in a single direction, and the one who collects it always dominates. The one who provides it, don't confuse this with malevolence. It isn't about misleading the naive, nor about injuring the virtuous. It's about declining to become prey in a world teeming with hunters. It concerns safeguarding your tranquility, your strategies, and your influence from anyone who would seize them if you kept them unprotected. The gullible person labels this as suspicion. The sage labels it as endurance. Transform into the stillness at the core of each tempest. Watchful, tranquil, and indecipherable in the remarks. Engrave this once more. I am forging a self that they cannot shatter. Number 7, allow them to undervalue you. A tool exists so potent that the mightiest figures in history employed it intentionally, yet contemporary individuals, anxious for attention, discard it daily. That tool is being undervalued. Suppress your pride sufficiently to grasp this, because it contradicts all instincts. Your arrogance shouts, you crave admiration, you desire acknowledgement, you want everyone to recognize your competence. However, the individual who publicizes his power prompts opposition, draws competitors, and alerts his foes. The individual who hides it moves unhindered while others overlook him, and then attacks when nobody expects it. The majority cannot tolerate being questioned. As soon as someone undervalues them, they hurry to demonstrate their worth. They reveal all their secrets merely to earn a fleeting acknowledgement that holds no value. That is the conduct of the uncertain, and uncertainty is a tether that the astute will always employ to maneuver you precisely where they wish. Yet the disciplined individual experiences no such urge. Allow them to question, allow them to disregard you, allow them to mock everyone who undervalues you. A person who has lowered their guard is like an open door. While they unwind, you develop. As they belittle you, you refine yourself. And when they finally recognize your true nature, it is much too late to halt. You comprehend the psychological dynamics. When individuals perceive you as harmless, they openly disclose themselves in your presence. They talk without caution. They expose their genuine motives. They act recklessly because they don't consider you a competitor worth defending against. This is a present. They are offering you information at no cost solely because their pride obscures your capabilities. Accept it, soak in every bit, speak sparingly, gain plenty, and allow their disdain to turn into your benefit. The boisterous individual announces his arrival to the world. The perilous one appears without warning. There is also a silent grace in this moderation that the impatient will never comprehend. It requires a robust character to possess power without showing it off, to be skilled without performing, to remain silent when his pride urges him to speak. Those who are weak need to be noticed. Their unstable self-worth depends on continuous approval. However, you will derive your self-esteem from the inside, from the confidential awareness of your own efforts. In your own advancement, you will not require acclaim because you will possess something far more precious, assurance, and the individual who is assured of himself has no necessity to persuade anybody. Observe how this alters your influence in every discussion, every confrontation, every connection. When others are unaware of the complete scope of your ability, you maintain a surplus they cannot foresee. You grow to be unexpected in the most positive manner, always retaining something, always one step ahead of what they anticipated. They scheme against the person they believe you are, never the person you truly are. And that divide between perception and truth is where you succeed, so maintain that divide broad. Support their beliefs and allow the facade of the average person conceal the mechanisms of an exceptional one. But pay attention to this clearly because it is important. Being undervalued is a tactic, not a personality. You are not acting weak because you think you are weak. You are opting for quietness while you become strong away from public view, constructing tirelessly behind a veil that the world has not cared to examine. The labor is genuine, the self-control is genuine, the change is genuine. The only element concealed is the magnitude of it. And when the instant comes to disclose what you have transformed into, you will not need to broadcast it. Your outcomes will communicate in a dialect nobody can dispute. And the most fulfilling authority is the kind that approaches silently and lands like a thunderclap, the ascent that nobody foresaw, carried out by a man everyone dismissed. Allow them to keep their beliefs, and you will retain your advantage while they act for recognition. You will get ready in obscurity, and the patient hunter always consumes better than the noisy one. Grow accustomed to being undervalued, and you become impossible to halt. In the remarks, declare it once more. I am constructing a self they cannot shatter. Rule 8. Eliminate the useless burden ruthlessly. Now, we encounter a reality that will cost you connections, and that is precisely why the majority of men never deal with it. You cannot progress while bound to individuals who are dedicated to remaining low. You cannot become outstanding surrounded by those who resent greatness. The difficult unspoken rule is this: you become the average of the circle you maintain. And most males are quietly drowning in the useless burden of people they are too sentimental to let go. Look truthfully at those around you. Some uplift you, refine you, urge you toward the person you are striving to become. But others, and you already know who they are, have the opposite effect. They deride your aspirations. They make you feel guilty for evolving. They drag you back toward the comfortable mediocrity they have accepted because your development is a mirror that reveals their own capitulation. These individuals are not always your adversaries. Occasionally, they are your companions. Occasionally, they share your lineage. And that is exactly what makes them so hazardous, because fondness blinds you to the gradual poison of their impact. Grasp the frigid mechanics behind it. Energy spreads like a contagion. So do standards. If you spend your time with men who accept mediocrity, mediocrity becomes your norm. If you spend it with complainers, complaining becomes your mother tongue. When you surround yourself with those lacking ambition, your own passion fades to their level. Not by choice, but because humans instinctively adapt to their group. The people you allow in your life constantly mold you. The only doubt is if they elevate you or pull you down. Hence, you must learn to sever ties without malice, yet without delay. This doesn't entail announcing your exits or setting bridges ablaze theatrically. That's what emotional people do. You are beyond that. It implies you silently redirect your most valuable assets, your hours, your focus, your vitality. You cease nourishing relationships that deplete you. Allow distance to accomplish what confrontation cannot. Certain relationships you end with a clear cut. Others gradually vanish as you stop tending what was never destined to flourish. Protect your inner circle as a king protects his advisors, for those nearest to you wield the greatest influence over your destiny. There's a profound nuance here that the tender-hearted overlook. Loyalty is admirable, but misguided loyalty becomes a shackle. You owe others truth, courtesy, and the dignity of having been part of their lives, but you do not owe them your tomorrow. You don't owe them the privilege of restraining you just because they were part of your history. Nostalgia has destroyed more potential than failure ever did. The cemetery of unfulfilled men is filled with those who remain faithful to a life they had already outgrown, too scared of guilt to leave what gradually destroyed them. And here's the most painful part. At times, the burden isn't other people. Sometimes it's the former self that those individuals preserve. They knew you in your weakness, and they anticipate you remaining that way. They favored the guy who mocked his own potential. They preferred the one who drowned his ambitions in alcohol and who never made them feel outpaced. In order to grow, you might need to let down those who only cherished your inferior self. Allow them to feel disappointed. Their ease is not worth sacrificing your fate. Select your circle wisely. With the icy accuracy of a tactician, not the sloppy emotion of someone terrified of solitude. Surround yourself with those who are ascending, who test you, who elevate your benchmarks simply through proximity. Be ready to journey solo for a period, rather than head the wrong way with many. Being alone is not a penalty. It's the cost of self-improvement. And the individual who can be solitary without feeling lonely cannot be controlled by anyone through the terror of being deserted. Society may label you heartless for this. Let them think that. The reality is you are merely declining to allow others' constraints to become your own confinement. Remove unnecessary burdens, and you'll be astonished by how much you can ascend once you let go of what was never meant for you to bear. In the comments section, write it down again. I am forging a self that cannot be shattered. Number 9. Either gain mastery over time or become its slave. Now we come to the only resource that cannot be substituted by any measure of power, wealth, or determination. Time. Everything else you lose can be recovered. If you lose money, you can make it again. If your reputation is damaged, reputation can be repaired. If you lose strength, you can rebuild it through training. But once time is used, it is lost for good. Nevertheless, this is the one resource people waste as though it were endless. Grasp this with stark honesty. The value of your life is not determined by the number of years, but by the way you use the hours within those years. And the majority of people spend those hours in slumber. When they are conscious, Observe how most people exist. They treat time like an adversary they must murder. They endlessly scroll through feeds, immerse themselves in pleasure that is crafted to devour their focus and offer nothing in return, and they anticipate the weekend. Subsequently, they squander it, wishing their working days to end, exchanging the sole currency they can never regain for a salary they hardly acknowledge. They function automatically, responding to whatever comes their way, and years later they ponder where their existence disappeared. Their lives were used up precisely as they allocated them, in diversions, in ease, in the gradual robbery of an unawakened existence. You will handle your time in a distinct manner because you comprehend its real essence. Time is not an event that merely occurs to you. It is the fundamental substance from which you construct all that you will ever be. Each hour resembles a slab of marble, and you are the carver. If you misuse it, you create nothing. If you invest it wisely, you chisel out a masterpiece. The man of discipline becomes merciless regarding the allocation of his hours. This is because he recognizes that, ultimately, the way he uses each day determines how he uses his entire life. These two cannot be disentangled. Start protecting your time just as the rich protect their wealth with alertness and without making excuses. Develop the habit of declining often, since each affirmative response to a minor thing is a denial of something significant. Those who consume your time are not necessarily ill-intentioned, but they still pose a threat. The never-ending gatherings, the fruitless discussions, the duties arising from guilt instead of meaning these are holes in your vessel's hull. 1,000 tiny holes will cause you to sink. As surely as a major tempest, seal those holes without mercy. Safeguard your hours as though your future relies on them because it does, and perfect the skill of intense concentrated work that the scattered-minded will never experience. While society splits its focus into countless superficial fragments, you will discipline yourself to delve profoundly. You will labor on what truly counts with undivided concentration, unperturbed by the clamor that binds everyone else. A single hour of intense, purposeful labor surpasses 10 hours of fragmented, interrupted activity. The individual capable of complete concentration in a period of endless diversions possesses an extraordinary ability that the majority have surrendered for fleeting pleasure. This capacity for concentration alone will differentiate you from 99 men in 100, yet there is more profound insight here than simply being productive. Commanding your time does not mean filling every moment with frenzied action. That is merely another kind of bondage, the bondage of the worrying. Genuine command lies in purposefulness, recognizing the distinction between the pressing and the significant, and declining to allow the pressing to consume the significant. It involves the discipline to rest intentionally and to reflect deeply, to allocate resources toward what enhances your intellect, physique, abilities, and valuable connections, rather than toward what simply amuses. The one who plans strategically engages in the long-term endeavor, while the rash individual pursues the immediate. Recognize the ultimate sobering fact. The timer never pauses and your aspirations matter nothing to it. Tomorrow is an assurance the cosmos never gave you. Anyone who claims they will begin later has already been defeated. As later is a reassuring falsehood. It robs whole existences by delaying each day. The sole instant over which you have power is this very moment. Grasp it immediately. Utilize it constructively. Do not allow another invaluable hour to pass wasted. Dominate your schedule, and you dominate your destiny. Squander it, and you lose everything. In the responses, reinforce it again. I am constructing an identity that is unbreakable. Number 10. Transform into the individual they cannot overlook. Thus, we find ourselves at the journey's close and the onset of all. You have now absorbed everything. The battle against ease. Command over the psyche, the shaping of the physique, the designing of routines, the stark mental principles of influence, the self-control to appear less capable, the bravery to eliminate burdens, the sovereignty over time itself. Yet all of this is meaningless if it remains mere words you agreed with. Information that fails to transform into deeds is merely refined amusement. The burial site of excellence contains countless individuals who had precise knowledge of what to do but never acted. Avoid becoming such a person. Grasp the principle that unites it all. Self-discipline is not a goal you reach. It is a conflict you decide to fight daily for your entire existence. No finish line exists where you can finally rest and complete the labor. The instant you cease constructing, you start deteriorating. Since remaining stagnant is impossible, you are either honing or blunting, ascending or descending, growing or shrinking. Accept this truth, and the regular practice will no longer seem like a weight, but rather become your identity. This is the essence of being hooked on personal growth. It is about command, not transient inspiration, but a lasting character. And this is the change in store. The individual who dedicates himself. You will become invulnerable, not because external challenges cease, but because you have cultivated an inner fortress. This section storms cannot touch. You will no longer ask for validation, fear, judgment, or wait to be selected because you have chosen yourself. While other individuals are tossed about by every emotion, insult, and temptation, you will be grounded in something more profound. The calm, unshakable confidence of a person who knows he can fully depend on himself. This constitutes genuine strength, not dominance over others, but the type that remains perpetually yours, self-mastery. Others will perceive the change before they grasp it. They will perceive the serenity in you that they themselves lack. They will observe that you do not recoil. Avoid pursuing, pleading, or crumbling. They will hold you in esteem without comprehending the reason. And those who previously dismissed you will quietly start to ponder how they overlooked it. You will have become the person they cannot overlook, not through loudness, but through the undeniable presence of someone who has conquered himself. That is the most uncommon presence in the world, and it cannot be simulated, only shaped through effort. So this is my final instruction to you. Close this video and ensure it does not become just another piece of content you consumed and forgot. Perform a single action today, just one, then another tomorrow. Construct the individual piece by piece, day after day, decision by decision until the person you're evolving into renders your former self unrecognizable. The world does not require another man who knows better. It needs you to become tangible proof of everything you just listened to. The future you have envisioned is constructed in the unglamorous present by the version of yourself willing to do what the comfortable will never attempt. Now proceed and become impossible to overlook. In the comments, state it one last time and mean it with all your being. I am creating a self that cannot be shattered. And if this resonated with something genuine within you, if you sense the flame even for a moment, take this step. Press that like button to amplify the message. Subscribe to Machiavellian Mind so the subsequent lesson reaches you.